Until 2013, Delhi, India's national capital, was largely a bipolar polity dominated by the Congress and the BJP. In 2013 came the Aam Aadmi Party, which altered the political dynamics of the city. Since then, between 2013 and now, the Aam Aadmi Party has been sweeping the assembly polls, while the BJP has been consecutively sweeping the Lok Sabha polls, winning all the 7 seats in 2014 as well as 2019. Now, Delhi goes to polls tomorrow, and this time, the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress are in an alliance, which was unthinkable even, say, last year, a few months back. So they are contesting the elections as part of an alliance against the BJP, which has again gone solo in all the 7 seats. Will this understanding between the erstwhile rivals bring about any change in the outcome? To discuss this and more, we have with us senior journalist and the managing editor of Sunday Guardian, Pankaj Vohra. Also joining me is Risha Chitlangia, senior assistant editor with ThePrint. So, my first question would be, in 2019, the BJP won all the 7 seats with over 50% vote share in all the 7 seats. So, just because the AAP and Congress have come together, do you think, even mathematically, it seems to be a non-starter. But do you expect any change this time in the outcome?
Every election has its own uniqueness. So, basically the percentage of the previous election cannot necessarily be seen and, to be happening in the current elections also. Congress, for instance, till before 2013, in assembly polls had got very huge vote share. But in 2013, it got decimated to under 10 seats, with Aam Aadmi Party getting 28 seats in assembly polls. And thereafter, Congress has been on the decline and Aam Aadmi Party has been on the upward climb. So one cannot really, make any guesses on the basis of data which is available regarding 2019. This is a fresh election and there are fresh players, and there is a strategic alliance between the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party. And in the last election also, Congress had done exceedingly well in Lok Sabha. And so, basically we have to see and make an assessment on many new factors that have emerged.
So, we know the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi has rose on the ashes of the Congress, and there is a lot of bad blood between leaders of the two parties. So now even we know that the top leaderships of the two parties have come to an understanding to contest the polls together. But will that percolate down to the ground level workers?
No, it will not necessarily percolate, but if there is no candidate of, say, AAP in the 3 seats Congress is contesting and no Congress candidate in the 4 seats AAP is contesting, the logical corollary is that, people who are going to vote against the BJP will vote for either of the two formations. So let's put it this way. And you are right that the AAP has moved its key MLAs and key leaders from constituencies which the Congress is contesting. Many of them have moved to constituencies where AAP is contesting. So AAP will be concentrating on seats which it is fighting, and the Congress on the seats it is contesting. So they will all try to get the desired results for their respective parties. That is how I see it.
But will an AAP voter who has, say, voted the AAP in 2013, in 2014, in 2015, as well as 2019 and 2020, will he suddenly or will she suddenly vote the Congress?
Well, the AAP vote is a vote against the BJP. So when the AAP candidate is not there, and it is also, the AAP voter is also making his assessment or her assessment on the basis of the treatment meted out to Arvind Kejriwal, who is the leader. So depending on that, and Kejriwal has made a general appeal to AAP voters to defeat the BJP. So I'm, sure that the AAP voter will vote. But whether the two add up and can still beat the BJP is a question which is to be seen, which can only be determined on the day of the results.
So in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party's free electricity and water, free electricity up to 200 units and free water is very popular among the lower income group areas. Do you think that in this election, local issues matter?
In every election, local issues matter. Of course, Mr. Modi's persona is very towering. He's, become an icon, and his voters are, very loyal and very committed. But so are Arvind Kejriwal's. And, there are a lot of bread and butter issues that have come up. Prices are a very major factor in this election. They may not be highlighted by political parties as much as they should be. Unemployment is also not being highlighted. But, many of, as you have rightly put, केजरीवाल सपोर्टर्स से कि 20 रुपए का बिजली का बिल कहाँ पे आएगा, मोहल्ला क्लिनिक में हम जाते हैं, विल बी गोइंग देयर, what is the substitute? So, Kejriwal if he is dislodged, and if BJP is allowed to win in Lok Sabha, so, the first thing they will do is, put Kejriwal in jail and also take away all these goodies. Or so those factors at some subconscious level are also influencing their minds. So that is a factor.
Okay. So in Delhi, Congress, ruled Delhi for 15 years during Sheila Dikshit government's tenure, and it has been out of power for almost 10 years now. So instead of contesting independently, they have done this alliance with Aam Aadmi Party, which many in the party were against it. And also there was stiff opposition to the candidature of Kanhaiya Kumar and Udit Raj. So do you think that in this election, with this alliance with Aam Aadmi Party, Congress will be able to regain its lost ground?
Firstly, let me put this straight. Congress was in power for 15 years. The media had gone gaga over Sheila Dikshit being in power. But Sheila Dikshit remained in power for 15 years, will go down in history, perhaps as the longest serving chief minister of the city. But in during her tenure, the Congress organization was totally destroyed. She was not a mass leader. She was, a leader who was foisted from the top and remained there in power for 15 years. But she failed to build up new, younger Congress leaders who could be groomed and who could have served the party. And in the process, the Congress, in the last 10 years, as you have pointed out, has been unable to win even a single assembly seat. There's no member of Lok Sabha, and even in corporation, their, presence is marginal. So, wherever the Congress leaders on their own steam could, put up a fight, they have. But the organization had got totally demolished. However, in the changing circumstances, the Congress is regaining its Muslim vote, it is regaining its Dalit vote, and it is regaining some of the votes. Now, what is the percentage of other votes it is gaining is to be, evaluated once the elections get over. But it is very much in the fight, and you are right again that, large number of Congress leaders have very serious reservations about the selection of candidates like Kanhaiya Kumar and Udit Raj. But then that is the party's decision. They have to observe this because they bring nothing to the table on their own. And if Udit Raj and Kanhaiya Kumar were picked up, it is also largely because of the fact that the Congress High Command was, not very sure that if they declare some leader and in the 11th hour the BJP may poach him and he may, switch sides. So when the Congress election, another very latent feature of this is that both Udit Raj and Kanhaiya Kumar were in JNU. They are both communists of different shades. Udit Raj was in SFI at one time, and Kanhaiya Kumar we all know on the extreme left. So, and JP Agarwal, who is a long time standing congressman. So none of these leaders could have been poached by the BJP. Ideologically, they could, though Udit Raj had contested 2014 on BJP ticket, but his, he has burnt all his bridges with them. So that, I think, played a major role in determining the candidacy. And as it is, Kanhaiya Kumar is doing pretty well from whatever reports. I don't know much about the Udit Raj, the Northwest seat right now, but this seat is witnessing a very strong contest.
And also in the last 10 years, do you think Congress has done enough to, there was so much development work that was carried out during Sheila Dikshit's tenure. Do you think they've done enough to actually revive the party to use that development work to revive the party?
The thing is that development in India is a misnomer for corruption. What is development? Development normally means that you construct flyovers, you construct roads, you construct bridges, you construct buildings. So there's a kickback. So, There were projects during Sheila Dikshit's time, the signature bridge, for instance. Its original cost was less than 500 crores. When it was inaugurated finally during AAP's tenure, the cost had gone up even to more than 1500 crores. So what happened to the 1000 crores? So, I mean, these are things which people talk about, but they don't get highlighted. And there had to be an organization of the Congress to boast about achievements or whatever was achieved during Sheila Dikshit's tenure. When there's no ground worker, there's no organization, who will talk about it? So that is where the Congress has been lacking both nationally and in Delhi. Its organizational structure had collapsed. And it is still in the elections this time, but its hope is that there are people who are disillusioned with the BJP and Mr. Modi's regime, so they may vote by default against the ruling dispensation at the center, and therefore the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party and other parties may benefit.
So essentially, you are trying to say this is the same old story of the high command, the Congress high command, essentially decimating the local level leadership.
Not at all. I'm not saying this at all. The local level leadership was not developed in the 15 years. So those who came and occupied those positions could not revive the Congress. So when they have, in last 10 years, as I said, they have not been able to get even a single assembly member or a MP. So where is the local leadership?
But Sheila Dikshit was someone who was foisted by the high command.
No, she was foisted by the high command against the wishes of the local people at that point of time. In 98, she had lost election from East Delhi and still was made the president of the party by both Mr. Arjun Singh and Mr. M.L. Fatehdar, who had great influence over Sonia Gandhi. And Sheila Dikshit, in her first election in 98, when she contested from Gold Market, had barely scraped through by 5,000 votes. And in the following two elections in 2003 and 2008, BJP would put up a soft candidate against her and she would win. Before 98, she had lost 3 elections in a trot in Lok Sabha, Kannauj, and the only Lok Sabha election she won was in 1984 during the peak of Indira Gandhi, after Indira Gandhi's assassination, during the peak of Congress, popularity, more as a tribute to Indira Gandhi than less so. So Sheila Dikshit was not such a great leader as she's made out to be. So, she's not in the same league as a Madanlal Khurana or a H.K.L. Bhagat were. Her imposition in Delhi was opposed by Bhagat, but he was overlooked and she was, brought in. So, every party has its own internal dynamics in politics. So, the High Command had no choice right now to assert itself because the local leadership was found wanting.
So, since you spoke about Mr. Khurana, why do you think the BJP has been losing successive assembly elections? It's been over 2 decades.
The thing is that BJP won in 93 and Madanlal Khurana became the chief minister. It was a triangular fight. And Mr. Bidhuri, who's now in the BJP, was in Janata Dal. And the anti-Congress vote got split. There was division in the Congress. Sajjan Kumar had, at one stage, during the middle of elections, walked out. And Bhagat was having his own problems with Mr. Narasimha Rao, who was the Prime Minister, who wanted him to switch over to his side. And there was a division of loyalty between 10 Janpath and Mr. Narasimha Rao. And he got caught in between. So all those factors. But Khurana, was a very popular chief minister. He was, in a moment of emotion, he resigned after the Jain Hawala case to express solidarity with Mr. Advani. And he should have been brought back because Sahib Singh Verma, the RSS had at that time wanted Dr. Harshvardhan to become the chief minister. But then, because of the political maneuvering, Sahib Singh Verma became the chief minister. And Sahib Singh Verma, the High Command, BJP's leadership took a decision to replace Sahib Singh Verma on 9th October 1998 with Madanlal Khurana again. At the 11th hour, Pramod Mahajan, who had certain issues because of, we can talk about it some other time, impressed upon Mr. Advani that, if this battle between Sahib Singh Verma and Khurana will continue, why don't we bring in Sushma Swaraj? So Sushma Swaraj was foisted by the BJP leadership. In the process, Sahib Singh became angry and so did Khurana. And in that, Sushma Swaraj was, though she was elected twice from South Delhi, but she was not a Delhi-centric leader. She, had a national image, but she was not, had not never worked at the grassroots level. Her two elections to South Delhi, where she had won, were on account of support she received from Adarlal Khurana. But then there was a division, and then Khurana was, sidelined subsequently, in the sense that Khurana came back, became a union minister, but there was inner political this thing. And after Khurana and Sahib Singh, there was no leader of any mass value. And the BJP started, stressing and putting its emphasis on the Bania community. And there were a whole lot of Bania leaders who became president of the party here. And the Punjabi leadership, which was the dominant factor within the BJP's growth from the Jansangh days, that got decimated. And that is how it is.
So this time, for example, they have replaced 6 of their candidates, including Sahib Singh Verma's son Parvesh Verma. How do you think that will play out, and why was it done?
Look, why it was done, only the BJP central leadership can answer. But I personally think that, when the elections had started, BJP had everything going for it. And, the general consensus was that BJP will once again win all the 7 seats. But after, several factors have come into play, which have put BJP in a contest. One of them, as you mentioned, is, replacing 6 candidates. There was no need to. Parvesh Verma was very much, the Jat community was very much happy. He has been replaced. Now Mahabal Mishra has come into the contest because many supporters of Parvesh Verma are, secretly working for Mahabal Mishra. This is what the buzz. I don't know whether they are or not. Similarly, Dr. Harshvardhan, he's been there he's a RSS man who, was multiple times MLA from Krishnanagar in East Delhi and was twice Chandni Chowk MP. And, he's one of the most respected leaders. He has many accomplishments, like the polio vaccine, was his very big success story. Even during COVID, he did exemplary work. He has been replaced. And people who have been brought in place of all these people are not very, very tall leaders. And they are non-entities. The BJP's assumption is that any person, even a lamppost, can win in Mr. Modi's name. So this assumption is on a test in Delhi. So the third factor, which is, should be a matter of great concern to BJP leadership, is that the RSS, is not working in the same manner in which it used to work for BJP in previous elections. In fact, there are many people who say that RSS has become neutral. And with the RSS getting neutral, BJP's micromanagement, so far as booth management is concerned, on the day of the polling, that is tomorrow, will be extremely, will be on test. How many, it was RSS workers who would bring out BJP voters from their homes and compel them or persuade them to vote. Now, how much would BJP worker be? BJP worker, has seen power for last 10 years. Many of them are paid workers. And many of them, have got, because of the spoils of power, have become lethargic. And so this also will be on test. Another assumption which is going to be on test is whether Kejriwal's arrest was a wise decision, because Kejriwal's arrest has put a question mark over even the functioning of the Election Commission. After the notification of the Election Commission assumes, enormous powers, which are even sometimes greater than that of the Supreme Court. Was it, if Kejriwal had to be arrested, he could have been arrested before the notification. Once the notification was made, is it justified to, disturb the level playing field? So that sympathy went in his favor. And then when the Supreme Court gave him interim bail, this also worked. And then, as Risha was pointing out, Sasti Bijli, Pani, Mohalla clinics, education, all that is working in his favor. So,
the lack of coordination between RSS and BJP is something Kejriwal has also been pointing out in his interviews since he's walked out. So do you think there was a sympathy factor at work when he was in jail, and what has happened now?
I personally think it was a very foolish move to have arrested him. If he's indeed involved in the liquor scam, he could have been arrested much earlier, or could have been arrested after the elections. Arresting him in the middle of the elections, Kejriwal is also a very trained, activist. He's also capable of doing any kind of theatrics. So he has, worked things which are working in his favor. Now, how much, whether it is enough to dislodge the BJP in Delhi has to be seen. But he is very capable of. And at one stage, the Congress used to call him Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party as the B team of the RSS. So maybe if the RSS is not supporting Modi, if this assumption again is true, they may be supporting Kejriwal. So I don't know. This has to be seen if indeed this hypothesis is correct that it is the B team of the RSS.
But like many would say that, especially the middle class voters, who are BJP supporters mostly, they would say that they want a strong leadership. Like in last election also, we saw that though Kejriwal won in the assembly election, but just months before that they lost to Ahmad. I mean, they stood third in the Lok Sabha elections. So do you think that people will really support Kejriwal this time?
Look,
the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress.
This election is unique in the sense that it is a Modi versus Modi election. Regardless of whoever leaders, are, I mean, any leader may be there in the India bloc, but essentially it is a Modi versus Modi election. People are going to vote either for Mr. Modi or against him. Does not matter to them whether, anybody in India bloc is there or not. So if more people vote against Mr. Modi, then Mr. Modi is out. If more people vote in favor of Mr. Modi, Modi is in. So it's a Modi versus Modi election. It is, the script is also playing out in Delhi. And mind you, H.K.L. Bhagat, who was once a strongman of Delhi, used to always say that Delhi is mini India. And what the outcome in Delhi is gets reflected in the performance of the ruling party all over India. So we have to see if, BJP is unable to win all the 7 seats in Delhi, which it would have won had these things not come into play, then you will see that BJP will be suffering in places other than Delhi also, and it will get reflected in the overall election results.
So this entire controversy over the fact that we don't know, and the matter is under investigation, that Swati Maliwal was allegedly assaulted in the CM's residence. And that issue has been dominating the headlines and airtime as well as newspaper headlines. Do you think it will have any resonance on the ground?
Look, it is highly condemnable that any woman gets assaulted, whether the Chief Minister's residence or outside. But in this particular case, the entire drama and, the delay in registering the FIR and the medical examination, is arousing unnecessary suspicion of, some sort of a conspiracy or some sort of a setup being done. Whether it is true or not, I am not anybody to authenticate it either way. But there are people who otherwise would have supported Swati Maliwal and who would otherwise would have supported BJP, who are, also raising questions that ye to sab drama hai. And I'm not trying to, for God's sake, not trying to, belittle or minimize this incident. But the reason why it is being overplayed is because the media is given it, headlines, and that's why it is a talking point for people who watch television or are normally supporters of BJP. But for normal people who are workers, who are not BJP supporters and are AAP loyalists, I don't think it is going to make much of an impact.
In the past few years, we have seen, especially during Kejriwal's tenure, we have seen this constant tussle between the Delhi government and the centre. So now you've covered the time of Metropolitan Council, when Delhi had Metropolitan Council. So from there to Assembly, Delhi Assembly when it was constituted. So how do you see, in terms of governance, you think that was better, the Metropolitan Council was better, or the Assembly?
Look, Delhi used to have an assembly in the 50s. It got overturned, and then in 1965 or 66, Metropolitan Council came into existence. And Metropolitan Council was essentially a debating chamber. It had elected representatives, had 56 elected members and 5 nominated members. It got superseded in 1989, and then a Sarkaria commission was constituted to find an alternative setup for Delhi. So Sarkaria committee was joined by Balakrishnan, who was a retired bureaucrat, and together they came out with a recommendation in the 90s, 91 or 92, where they said that there should be a Delhi Assembly, and Delhi Assembly should be, since Delhi is a capital, it was a C-grade assembly, more akin to what existed in Goa and Pondicherry at that point of time, where the chief minister was, of course, designated as the chief minister. His powers were limited and curtailed by certain sections under 239A of the Constitution, and which gave him less powers. But it depending upon, when Mr. Khurana became the chief minister, Mr. Khurana was powerful because of his own personality. The bureaucracy listened to him because Khurana had been an opposition leader, and they knew that the consequences of not listening to him or not following his orders would not be very good. Khurana had strained relations with P.K. Dave, who was the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, and P.K. Dave was very close to Narasimha Rao, but they continued because Narasimha Rao had his own politics. He preferred Khurana over Bhagat, and this metro project, for which Sheila Dikshit took the credit, it was inaugurated when Khurana was the chief minister in '93, and it was done essentially to put Mr. Sridharan was roped in, and everything started. Many flyovers, for which later the Congress took credit, the Dhaula Kuan flyover and the Safdarjung flyover, they were all finalized during Khurana's time. He was, there was used to be a PWD chief engineer called KB Rajoria. He designed that, and in Times of India, when I was there, I had done a story on it. So, as long as the chief minister was strong, he was able to get things done. When Sheila Dikshit became the chief minister, she was a bureaucrat's wife, and she had very good equation with the IAS officers. She ignored the political class and was the darling of the bureaucracy. And Mr. Vijay Kapoor, who has been perhaps the best Lieutenant Governor Delhi has seen, because he had occupied in his bureaucratic career every position which was available, from SDM, ADM to Chief Secretary, Municipal Commissioner, DESU Chief, etc., etc. So, he and Sheila Dikshit had their points of differences, but they got along and no one challenged anybody. And what Kejriwal basically has done is that Kejriwal has a different personality. He wanted, he is by his own definition an anarchist. So, to grab more power and more this, he became assertive and went on a collision course with the establishment. The Lieutenant Governor, the present Lieutenant Governor, also has a very strong personality, and he's not been cowed down. So, there has been confrontation. Now, the question which arises is that should the representative of the centre have more powers, or should someone who's been elected directly by the people have more powers? This is where the question rests.
But do you think Delhi should be granted full statehood? This is a demand which AAP has been demanding, and even the Congress and the BJP have supported it in the past in certain points.
I am 100% in favor of statehood being demanded. I mean, being accepted. BJP, it used to be BJP's main demand. When Mr. Khurana was there, Mr. Vijay Kumar Malhotra was there, Mr. Kedarnath Sahni was there. Congress used to be the one which used to, at that point of time, say that no, this cannot be fulfilled. Delhi is the capital. Then there were various models discussed, whether Washington DC type model, where only the New Delhi, Lutyens Delhi, NDMC area will be this, etc. All those things were there. So basically, Delhi has more population than many states which have got full statehood. So, Jagparvesh Chandra used to be the chief executive councillor of Delhi, equivalent to that of a chief minister when the Metropolitan Council existed. He used to, joke around and say publicly that Delhi is everyone's mistress and nobody's wife. 70% people, he said, who live in Delhi do not consider Delhi to be their home. Home for them is somewhere other than Delhi in, some parts of India. So basically, if there is statehood, there will be ownership of those who live here, and they will get identified with the city or place where they live in. Right now, for a person from Purvanchal, it may be Eastern UP or Bihar, their घर कहाँ है वहाँ है, कि तमिलनाडु में है तमिलनाडु में, महाराष्ट्र में है, बंगाल में है. So, that thing, there are very few people who would, consider Delhi to be their home or would identify. So, this factor, otherwise also, Delhi is such a large, as I said, such a large population. If there are people, I mean, if people can self-govern themselves, they don't need the center. And capital, how is it going to, right now when the statehood was granted, law and order was, I mean, sorry, this assembly was granted, law and order and land use remained with the center. They continue to be with the center. Delhi police, most people think that if something goes wrong, Kejriwal should be blamed. And the media also, which is ill-informed on many occasions, keeps on saying कि वहाँ पे crime हो गया, वो हो गया. Kejriwal has no control over the police. Land use, whether it is DDA colonies or, LNDO land, or it is all under the central government. So these things, most people don't know. So that's why, this impression goes around, and the media also unfortunately does not know.
So last question, regardless of how this alliance between AAP and Congress it performs, do you see a future for this alliance? Because in less than 1 year, Delhi will have assembly polls.
I don't think there's going to be any future. Right now, their common intent is to defeat Mr. Modi and the BJP. And that is what they are. In Punjab, they are contesting against each other. In Haryana, AAP is, contesting in Kurukshetra against Navin Jindal of the BJP. But, it's a tactical alliance. It's like an alliance between the Congress and the TMC at all other places except in Bengal, where Congress and CPM are together, but Congress and CPM are fighting each other in Kerala. So these are all tactical things to, dislodge the BJP from their perspective. So their main objective is to dislodge the BJP. And that's why this alliance, next year you will see they will be at each other's throats.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, viewers, for watching us. What we know for now is that we have a intense heat wave sweeping Delhi over the last few days, and the parties are more worried about whether people will turn out to vote in enough numbers, considering what we have seen in Bombay. So it remains to be seen whether Delhi outperforms Bombay, at least in terms of voting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.